Hey, Matthew here. The Audio-Technica ATH M50X has been an industry standard headphone for monitoring and referencing since its release in 2014. They are known for their relatively neutral sound, solid build quality, and a price tag that doesn't leave a lasting impression in your bank account. In late 2018, a Bluetooth version of the headphone was introduced into the market, but how does it fare nearly 2.5 years later? Let's take a closer look. Full disclosure before we start, I picked up this headphone refurbished off eBay and did not pay full retail price. Anyway, with that said, let's get on with the review. The ATH M50XBT can be picked up for about £170 on Amazon. In the box, you'll get the headphone itself, a 1.2 meter 3.5 millimeter auxiliary cable for use in wired mode, a small charging cable, and a protective pouch. I haven't really found the pouch to be all that useful when it comes to protecting the headphone when you're out and about. I ended up just using this hard case I found on Amazon. If you're at all familiar with the standard M50X, then this headphone will not look too different. The size and dimensions are exactly the same as the wide version, the main difference cosmetically being these buttons on the left ear cup. These controls are used for volume up and down, and play and pause. There is a switch to turn the headphone on and off. By covering up the left ear cup, you can also hail your phone's voice assistant, whether that being Siri or Google Assistant. Personally, I never use the voice assistant and find this feature more annoying than useful, as I very occasionally trigger this assistant by accident. The switches and buttons are very firm and satisfying to use. I'm an advocate for physical buttons and will always prefer them over the capacitive touch controls quite a few companies are leaning towards. All of the physical buttons work flawlessly and are placed well in the ear cup. One control that is missing from the headphone that I would appreciate is some sort of Bluetooth button to put the headphones into searching mode. When you turn on the headphone, they automatically connect to the last device they were paired with. This is okay if you only use one device, but I usually switch between using my iPhone and my iPad. This leaves you with a couple of options: manually disconnecting the headphones from inside your device's settings, or holding all three of these buttons at the same time for 10 seconds. This seems okay, but remember how satisfyingly firm I said the switches were? This works against the headphones in this case, because trying to hold all three buttons down at the same time for 10 seconds is genuinely quite hard, and usually takes me a couple of tries. Let's move on to comfort. I have very few complaints about this. I can easily wear them for hours without too much discomfort. There is a little bit of a pressure point on the crown of my head, which can be a little bit painful, but after adjusting them, this pain goes away. The ear pads are nice and cushiony, but they don't allow a lot of air in, so it can get a little bit sweaty in longer sessions. Overall though, comfort is definitely not something I would worry about with these. Now, let's move on to portability. They fold up slightly and get to a fairly small size, safe for travel. They are not the most compact headphone, but I really don't have any complaints. The ATH M50XBT supports Bluetooth version 5.0, but due to being Bluetooth, the latency is very high, so they would not be suitable for gaming in wireless mode. They do support aptX, which probably helps decrease the latency slightly, but not enough for gaming. Due to the latency compensation many apps offer, however, these are perfectly fine for consuming content on YouTube and Netflix, etc. Another thing that's very impressive about these headphones is the battery life. They are rated to last 40 hours on a single charge, and I can say that my experience matches that. If the battery does run out, they can easily be run in wired mode, which basically turns them into the standard M50X and eliminates all the issues I had with latency. In wired mode, these headphones are actually quite fun when gaming. The good imaging allows you to pick out players in competitive games, and the low end boost makes explosions and gunshots stand out. There is one aspect of these headphones I'm not so happy with, however. The app doesn't really have too much of a purpose. It allows you to choose Bluetooth codecs and shows you where your headphones were last connected in case you lose them. Other than that, it just seems to be there to allow firmware updates on the headphone. There is no way to adjust the sound signature with the EQ or anything like that, and there isn't even any fun gimmicks to play around with like you find on the Sony headphones. Finally, let's talk about the sound. With the lack of any sort of EQ from the app, you're pretty much stuck with the stock sound of these, so they'd better sound good. And they really do. If you've ever heard the ATH M50X before, you'll know exactly what these sound like because they're identical, at least to my ears. They give quite a natural sound with decent imaging. They have a little bit of a boost in the bass region, but it's pretty well defined and stays away from sounding too muddy or subby, making it perfect for bass heads and people that just want a little bit more punch. The high end isn't too sharp, but it is boosted, which can be an issue for some sibilant artists. With the M50XBT being a closed back headphone, the soundstage is quite narrow, but that is to be expected. One thing I have noticed is that there is this weird static noise that appears when I turn the headphones on. This disappears after the headphones have been on for a few seconds, but I thought it would be worth mentioning it. The amp is also a bit noisy, with the humming of the circuitry being very audible when there isn't any media playing. This isn't really too noticeable when I have some music on, but it does rear its head on very dynamic songs. When it comes to isolation and leak, these aren't the best. I would give them a solid C+, with many headphones being better but also many being worse. The low-end boost does an okay job at drowning out the background noise, but unless you have them on full whack, you'll probably be able to hear the engine of the bus around the conversations of the people in the cafe. If you do decide to go on full whack, these headphones will happily blow your eardrums out and let everyone know what song you're listening to. You won't be doing too much private listening when out and about. One of the main downsides with these headphones is that they don't have noise cancellation. These headphones came out when noise cancelling was starting to become a thing, but in today's society, at this price, it's almost a must. I really do hope that Audio Technica updates these headphones in future and adds ANC. I'd love to see some ATH M50X BTNC. And before we wrap up, this is how the microphone in the headphone itself sounds. And this is how the microphone sounds in the included cable. So, should you pick these headphones up? Well, if you already own a pair of M50X, there are a couple of different companies that make Bluetooth adapters. They may not have an app or the same kind of battery life, but it could be worth looking into. If you do not have a set and would like something for the studio, out and about, and listening to some tunes in your free time, this could definitely be a set for you. I really wish they had some sort of ANC, but unfortunately they don't. The price is a little bit high, but if you can pick them up second hand or refurbished like I did, you're not going to be disappointed. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. If you like this video, you might enjoy some of our other content that we've made on headphones. Thanks for watching.